Are you up for doing predictions for 26?
Yeah, I have a bold one. I think it might be the end of automotive launch photography as we know it. So we can get into that, but that's where I'm feeling.
Okay.
Welcome to the Automotive Advantage. Grow your business and get smarter in just 1 hour.
Pretty good. It's December, so we can kind of date this thing. I survived PRI. I don't think I got the flu like a lot of people did, like just happens. But I think it's pretty good. I think you're right. I think people are trying to finish the year really hard, which is maybe a little indicative of what the numbers are going to look like. We're going to talk to people about how to have a great 2026, maybe some things to get on their radar for next year. We do have a Midway Index report out, which is actually quite surprising and promising. And then I think we got some predictions we're going to do. That's risky. We did do a top 10 the last time we checked in, so I think that went well. But are you up for doing predictions for 26?
Yeah, I have a bold one. I think it might be the end of automotive launch photography as we know it. So we can get into that, but that's where I'm feeling.
Okay. So. Big change in the media. That's okay. Good. This is kind of like our normal show with you and me. We do have a bunch of guests coming on, but I think maybe we can talk about the podcast because part of our learning is we're going to share this with other folks. I think we're going to try to squeeze one more in. I did tell you about this, but maybe that last week in December, I think Uncle Robin's going to come to Detroit because we wanted to do like a really hardcore sales podcast, how to drive sales, how to set up your sales team, what's the commission look like in the automotive industry, automotive aftermarket. So I think Robin will be our guy to come on. Les Rudd reached out to me today, apologized. He's been scheduled. He can come anytime. Les Rudd can come on the show anytime he wants to, but he's a world-class rep for a lot of manufacturers, been around for decades and really has his pulse on this thing. And then we have several big media players that work for multi-billion-dollar media empires. We're going to get one of those reps to come on here and just talk about how are they adjusting, where's the attention in the auto industry, those kind of things. So that's a little bit of what's going to go on with the Automotive Advantage in 26. You want to talk about how we're looking? I will tell you, walking the crowd at PRI, I had a lot of people talk about how much they appreciate what we're doing here. So I wanted to thank you for that and thank people for listening to us. And keep giving us feedback. You and I do watch this and we do adjust kind of what we bring to light. So take it away. What are we doing performance-wise for this podcast, and then what insights have you got that you can share with people?
So we're looking good, and it's because of everyone who keeps listening, watching, and then commenting and sharing it with us. I mean, we've talked about this before, but people are commenting. We love that. People are texting us. We love that. People are emailing us. We love that. I know you know this, but I'll tell it to everyone here. During the top 10 of 2025, we picked HP Tuners as our performance part of the year. And then I got a text message from HP Tuners, their chief operating officer, saying, hey, we really love that we were performance part of the year. Thank you so much. Also, you kind of said that we could improve in some places. We would love with you to meet with our team and go through those things. So what a cool space to be in, right? We have brands like HP Tuners that are listening, want customer feedback, are going to implement those things to make it better. So it's cool that a little podcast like that can have, even any influence in the space. But according to Spotify, the Automotive Advantage is in the top 10% of videos on Spotify, which is awesome. Top 10% of videos on Spotify. 28 different countries listened in during 2025, which is great. And we got 3 different Spotify Wrapped awards, which Spotify Wrapped is it's just like a Spotify Wrapped for normal people, except this is on the business side, and they make up awards so you'll feel really good about yourself. But we were a 2025 instant top hit. The Automotive Advantage debut season was more popular than 96% of other new podcasts on Spotify. So 2025 instant top hit, more popular than 96% of other new podcasts on Spotify, 2025, which is crazy. Also, another award, 2025 most talked about shows. The Automotive Advantage received more comments than 95% of other podcasts on Spotify. So again, thank you for everyone who comments. We try to get in there and comment back, and we use that feedback for future shows, which is awesome. And then 2025 marathon show, Automotive Advantage fans listened to the Automotive Advantage longer than 93% of other shows. So insane. More popular than 96% of other pods, more comments than 95% of other pods, and then listening for longer than 93% of other pods. So I know I told you we had some cool news, but I hadn't given that to you yet. What do you think?
That's amazing, because we do put effort in this thing. We are prepared. We're getting more prepared, but I think it's a reflection of kind of this niche that we have, where there's a lot of entertaining automotive podcasts, and they're great. We listen to all of you guys. We want to bring to light the business side of the automotive industry and try to help people along the way. That's what we've been doing professionally for one of us for more than a decade or two, but this is what we do. So I love it. I love that we're getting, we get access to people. They want to tell us their story. They want to give us a little, hey, maybe you should do that. Like, that is super helpful for us. And professionally, I've learned a lot in the 4 or 5 months we've been doing this. So that's awesome. Congratulations. You got a great podcast.
Yeah, super cool. So Spotify was great. And then YouTube, we're going to end the year a little over 72,000 YouTube views, unless this episode pops off and we get way more, but I doubt it. 1,010 subscribers on YouTube, which is great. 1.1 million impressions on our little pod here in 2025. And I think the coolest stat for me, though, was a 15-minute and 26-second average view duration on the pod. So people that are catching it, tuning in, are sticking around for quite a while. So we love that. I mean, obviously, I guess at some point we do get boring and people tune out, but 15 minutes, you could watch it. You could tune back in a little bit later and watch some more of it. Or maybe you get in the car and you listen to it there. So I love that people are consuming this thing in a bunch of different places. Really nice. And again, I just love that people are engaged. We saw that in person. We've seen it. We've had several people reach out that say, hey, I'm entering the automotive industry, and I'm getting great tips, and I'm learning who these guests are, and I'm reaching out to people. So that's awesome. I think, for me, what a cool 2025. And really, we're just getting started. I think we're at episode 18, 19, 20, somewhere in there. I should probably know that exactly. But just, I guess, very thankful to everybody for tuning in.
Well, awesome. I love it. Thanks for all the effort you put into this thing. I think the production value has come back to me several times. We were joking about the lighting and the cameras and everything you got going on in the studio. And thank you for making us look good, Justin. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. You do complain about the lighting a lot, though, so I'll just overlook it for now and take the compliment.
I think you might put too much time in the lighting.
You can't put too much time in the lighting. That's absurd. All right, moving on. What do we got next?
All right, let's give them the Midway Index, because I love this. So this is our exclusive feature, compliments of Brian Lounsbury at midwayplus.com. So he says, look, this is called the Midway Index now. So that's how he wants to just use this. Go back and listen to Brian's interview if you haven't done that and you're just kind of catching up. It's worth the hour listen. Brilliant guy that works in this space. And his portal gives us insight into what is going on in the industry real time. I was texting with Brian this morning. I said, hey, we're doing a recording tonight. I'd like to do the month over month. Can you give me the year end? And then can you give me a forecast for 26? And he's still working on the calculations, but he's also got a couple weeks. And I think those couple of weeks might actually change the numbers. So I'm I'm not mad that he didn't get back to us, but I do have month-over-month numbers. So again, this is a look at B2B sales in the automotive aftermarket industry. It's a mix. So it's not just accessories, or not just engine parts, or not just diesel parts, like all of it. Again, Midway Index tells us month over month, November to December, the industry's up 18%. That's a massive number. I haven't heard that number since 22. Like, that might be the best month in a couple years. So congratulations to the folks that are making it happen. Brian kind of tipped us off and said, hey, something happened in Black Friday, something happened on Cyber Monday. So I alluded to this when you said you're busting your ass, because I think the whole industry has finally got some momentum going. And I want insight from Brian, like, what is moving? Is it stuff under $500? Is it only East Coast? Is it trucks? Like, give us a little bit more insight. So we'll be back. Stay tuned, but that's the Midway Index. Justin, we're up 18%. The automotive aftermarket is hot right now.
That's awesome. I wouldn't not have expected it to be that strong. I mean, I guess people just crushed it Black Friday, Cyber Monday. A lot of buying going on. Also, people getting into winter mode and like maybe getting some stuff for over the holidays. But yeah, 18% is huge. I think we've seen that kind of reflected in the general vibe of everybody. But this is not a, I would not say this is a COVID 18%. This is a people are working so hard 18%. Like, everyone is putting in the effort right now. Yeah. So yeah, really cool to see that.
Yeah, and it gives you, why is this important, right? Like, why are we so hyped about this? Well, we haven't had this insight before. You'll see some reports kind of at the end of the year, or maybe looking backwards, but Brian's got it real time, basically, so month over month number. But it gives you an idea where you're at. That means many people are over 18% right now, right? So if you're flat, there's somebody up there that's 40%, and they're finding the niche and they're making it work. So people will spend money. I mean, in just general terms, like, as you're driving around the Detroit area, Christmas shopping, whatever it is, you get a feel traveling, right? Like, I hear we're breaking records every holiday this year. If you look at those big economic indicators, there's a bunch of money moving around. Like, you see bad news, or you kind of feel bad one day, people are still moving the needle. So did you spend a bunch of money in the last 30 days? Sounds like you bought a bunch of car parts.
I didn't, but I was heavy the months leading up to this. I did all my spending before it got too cold, and now we're kind of just stuck in the middle here for a little bit. But yeah, I definitely contributed to the index in the months leading up to November. So yeah, it's good.
All right. You want to dive into some, I'm going to say, some risky predictions, because whenever you suggest something's going to happen, you kind of put your ass out in the wind. So do you have some predictions?
Yeah.
Do you want me to start? Or?
I can start. The first one we have here is OEM moves. So I love being right, but I hate that we're right about how badly everyone bungled EVs. Ford coming out earlier this week, $19 billion write-off, cancel the Lightning, which is their only electric thing, and the Mach-E, really. But what a massive failure that everyone could see coming. Every engineer we know, every planning person at the OEs knew that the EV thing was not going to play out how the top brass thought it would. And here we are, writing off $20 billion. The worst part, though, isn't the writing off the $20 billion. It's the opportunity cost of 4 years, 5 years of not developing new engines and new ICE and new hybrids and all this stuff. So I'm actually very frustrated by this, because we knew it. Everyone knew it since 1918, right? And we were all just told that we're just old school car guys. We don't know what we're talking about, blah, blah, blah. You're going to see, we're investing in the future. When I hear $20 billion in the hole, that's just from Ford. It's probably the same across the board. You've got kind of Trump on this tiny car thing, which I think is hilarious, because everyone's wanted smaller, cheaper cars for a while. And yet the only investment we saw in EVs was into the biggest trucks that you could imagine, which doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, so talk to me about EVs, how poorly managed that whole thing has been. I don't think they're coming back in any meaningful way. And I don't feel like, with some things, there's like a curve, like the internet takes off, but then it has to go through that long thing and then it comes back on the other side. I do think EVs will be around forever. I don't think they're going away, but man, they're talking about an AI bubble. We had an EV bubble for sure.
Yeah, actually, I think I've seen that term, but I don't think people are saying EV bubble, but you're spot on. Yeah, my prediction is the OEMs have learned their lesson about EV, and my hope is they're somewhat moderated in how they go forward with a program of a nice mix of more efficient ICE vehicles, hybrids, and electric. It's something we talk about all the time. You've got to know your customer, and they just missed it, dude. They didn't know their customer. I use the analogy of my dad that went to work and he carried his tools and 100 miles one way and 100 miles back. There still is an electric vehicle that can do that in upstate New York on one charge. There just isn't. So that means that customer base, electric doesn't work. So, I do, something you talked about though, just now is the timing of this swing. And I think you're the guy that talks the most about the pendulum going back and forth from ICE to EV. That's the simplest way to think about it, but it's going to come back. There's going to be a bigger push because there are still people that love EV. In fact, even this week, I know there was an all people meeting at one of the OEMs and all they did was talk about electric vehicles. For the love of God, people, it's not electric. The market is not electric. Like, I don't know what you have to see. $20 billion write-off for Ford should give you an idea that it just didn't work. But I'm the same with you. I want electric to continue. I would love a great electric vehicle that can do everything for no energy. That's the dream, right? So yeah, my prediction is EV at least gets some sort of filter where it's in the right market with the right customer base and they love it and we get to explore technology and it becomes more viable. Back to the timing. Depending on the administration, you got 3 years for your pendulum to swing back, or if there's another Republican in office, you got 7 years. But I do want you to talk about this pendulum because you're the guy that's really kept me in check for many years about it. It's going to come back. Like, don't celebrate this. It's going to come back. So tell me when the pendulum hits for you.
Well, I mean, it sucks now because we're behind in the V8 ICE world, right? And there's rumors of new ICE things coming from all of the OEs. We know that they've invested in it, but we also know behind the scenes, there were not a lot of brain power working on that. It was very few people. Everyone else was kind of over here working on EVs. So now they're all going to come over here. Great. We're going to reinvest in that. Super cool. Obviously, the administration has moved the EPA targets out, which is good. I would say even if it swings back from Republican to Democrat, either way, we're going to be in a situation where the economy has to be strong and we have to be making money. And I don't think there's any time in the next couple of years where shutting down entire industries to go reinvest and lose $20 billion at a time makes any sense to me. So hopefully we're kind of in a little protected space here, at least for a while. And I think what the consumers are saying is like, dude, give me hybrids. Give me a hybrid. I'll take some electric, I'll take some gas, and then make electric make sense. Give me slates. Give me small cars that I can run around town in, electric, and then give me big, fun cars for the weekend or big cars to go up north with, whatever. So hopefully we've learned this lesson and we can put it to bed. But I would say 2025 EV bubble gone. 2026 ICE baby coming back. So that'd be awesome. Next on our list, speaking of ICE, we have racing. Do you have any 2026 racing predictions? What you got?
Yeah, here it is. You ready? Write this down. You got it? Cadillac wins its first F1 race with Bottas driving. There it is. F1 Cadillac. You know why this is such a big deal for me? Just so you know, I'm all in on a Cadillac F1 racing. Like, when I can get the merch, when I can turn it myself, here's why. the European engineers called out the American engineers and said they can't race in F1. So I'm going to fly the American flag, and I'm going to root on Cadillac, and Cadillac's going to win in F1. There you go. Top that one.
All right, well, we're coming off a great year for me because McLaren just won Formula One this year, Constructors' Cup, and then Lando taking Drivers' Champ. So I'm still going to be wearing the papaya hat for sure, but I hope this works great for Caddy. You know, Ford's already in there with Red Bull, so that's cool. Caddy coming online, Audi's jumping in. Like, clearly, all the money, all the hype remains in Formula One. So the more energy that goes towards F1, the better. I think it's cool. It's good for everybody. The NASCAR thing has been really interesting, you know, with Jordan and his team and the settlements. And I want to deep dive into that at some point. I would love to have kind of a NASCAR historian on here who really understands what's happening there. But I don't know if you saw, there was a letter that Rick Hendrick had wrote many years ago explaining how much sponsorship money Hendrick Motorsports was bringing in. But as part of that letter, they wrote how much money they were spending with each of those companies in order to get them into the sport. And just an amazing sums and what goes on behind the scenes there. So I hope the best for NASCAR in 26. I'm glad this whole thing's out of the way. One may argue that the lawsuit brought a lot of attention to NASCAR, so maybe that helps in some way. You know, I'd like to see more action there, but F1 is definitely the hottest thing going and will be in 26 again. They have an all-new car now, so the deck's going to get reshuffled for everybody. And then obviously IHRA has been, it will continue to be the talk of the drag racing world for sure, and off-road boats and everything else and whatever they're going to do. But give me your vibe on IHRA. I know this is a split topic for a lot of people right now.
Yeah, IHRA is hot. I want to congratulate Alba Cologne and Rick Hendrick on their championship. The Hendrick team's awesome, and I think you're right. NASCAR 2026 is going to be a great year for NASCAR. I like the idea that, hey, all of that, I'll say negative press, I don't know if it's really negative, but it should drive some attention to what's going on over there. Because there's a lot more racing at NASCAR that goes on than some other forms of racing. IHRA was the talk of PRI because of the moves. And Daryl Cutterell and Leah Martin were walking around. They have bought more tracks. Maple Grove, which I used to go to for the Ford Motorsport Nationals for years as a kid. That was probably the first big event I went to. So Maple Grove is like one of those tracks I consider mine. They're buying tracks. They're buying sanctioning bodies. They launched a new IHRA circle track division. I'm being told there's more on the way, and you believe it, the way these folks are moving so quickly. You got a real power struggle in drag racing right now, which we haven't seen in quite a while. Now, when I was a kid in the 80s, 90s, IHRA was a real thing. I raced at an IHRA sanctioned track called New York International Raceway Park in upstate New York. So this isn't like all brand new, but I would say it's a reimagined IHRA with a financial muscle to make big moves. You know, if you listen to this and you're not into drag racing, just pay attention to what's going on at IHRA. It's an incredible business study. And I think, Justin, when Leah Martin comes on here, I don't think I've announced that on here, but we did reach out to Leah Martin. She said, yeah, in January, I've got a few things that we're working through. She wants to come on the show and talk about the plan that IHRA has, business plan. I'm thrilled for that. But when that plan gets announced, when you start to see all these acquisitions take shape, the one thing I see from them is we're for the racers. If they stick to that, if they stick to we're here for the racers, they're going to win, dude. They're going to have a very significant market share in whatever the shakeup is in drag racing. So why don't you got any predictions for IHRA? Why don't you make some wild predictions? That's what this episode's about.
Well, I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of attention there. I think the incumbent is the NHRA. They're going to try to keep people over there. I think competition's good for anyone, so that's awesome. It'll be interesting to see what the IHRA becomes known for. You know, I think about like PDRA and the radial stuff, or ORSCA and like, what is IHRA's thing? It's not going to be top fuel, probably. Like, so what kind of cool class is going to pop up there? I look at like all the Bradenton and West Buck stuff, like that's got its own home now. So what's going to be the series within the series that really makes it pop off? That'll kind of define it in 26, I think. But yeah, I mean, we know car counts and payouts is what does it, and attention. And like the more eyeballs the IHRA has, you know, new tracks is cool. Tracks that haven't had large events are going to have large events now, so that's cool. Yeah, I think it'd be really interesting to see where it goes, and I just hope they don't get spread too thin, you know, with circle track and power boats and all those other things. But I think there's going to be some cool stuff coming out of there, no doubt.
Yeah, I think NHRA's counter, which is they had a new class series for the Street Outlaws racers, which those guys really haven't had a home since the show went away. They are an extremely strong, powerful brand within drag racing. You know, so Ryan Martin and Daddy Dave and all those guys now have a new home at NHRA. This is good for us. It's good for us. It's exciting. It's going to drive people to go to the drag strip, to watch this stuff, to think about modifying their cars. This is good for the industry. That's my prediction, is all of this has a net positive. I will say, I'm probably gonna toss this to you. Still in racing, you and I got done recording the top 10, and we were talking about racing, and we had not mentioned IndyCar, and we had not mentioned Trans Am. Maybe it's because you can see IndyCar, Daytona 500. Everybody watches that. Trans Am's kind of hard to find. So my prediction for 26 is that both of those road racing series have a little bigger impact in 26. There's my prediction for those guys.
Okay, I literally don't care and can't care about IndyCar. I don't. They have the Indy 500, which I don't care about. It's just a cool spectacle. The rest of it is totally lost on me. So IndyCar's out, and my prediction is it stays that way. Trans Am, I love the idea of Trans Am. I love the vintage stuff. I love any of that. Like, IMSA, right? I like GT3 cars. I like GT4 cars. And I think because of iRacing, which we talked about in our top 10 of 2025, a lot of iRacing is centered around GT3 and GT4 cars. And people are starting to learn about those cars and race those cars. And then they're like, oh, they're on TV. Oh, I can pick a team and I can start going down that path. So I think that the street car, IMSA, GT3, GT4, and Trans Am has a huge building potential here because of iRacing. And I think that'll be really good for them going forward. IndyCar, not so much.
I think that's good. I think motorsports in general is on the rise. We've talked about this for a couple of years. F1 has done great things for everybody, and I think it's clear that's going to continue. The next one we got for predictions is performance parts. And I just wrote down, I don't know what do we need in performance parts, because it is rich, man. After walking through the aisles of Indy, you start to realize, holy cow, man, when I was a kid, like none of this stuff was even, I think you start with the OEMs that, trucks make 1,000 foot-pounds of torque and Corvettes make 1,000 horsepower. Okay, now what is the aftermarket going to do with stuff like that? And I think those are the goalposts, and now you're trying to move every platform you love toward that. Certainly with racing in mind, and how do you get more people in racing, how do you get more compelling parts. So street stuff, I think you're going to see better integration into new cars. That'll be my 26 prediction. There's a few barriers, but I think with the push in DC, and as we talked about HP tuners, their work to crack into some of these vehicles and help people have access to it, I think you're just going to see better integration and safer, more sophisticated performance parts in 26. That is nothing specific, but it's just the general feel.
Yeah, any car that you like, you can make 1,000 horsepower with like 3 bolt-ons now. So it's kind of weird. I've always been fascinated with this ebb and flow between power adders. You know, there was a generation where it was nitrous, and then there was a generation of centrifugals, and then there was a generation of, you know, roots style, and right now it's all top mount. It's just Whipple. That's all we're hearing about. Yeah. But the biggest news out of PRI that I saw on the internet was ProCharger with some of their new stuff coming out of there. So turbos had the last decade. It was all turbo all the time. Now it's definitely, especially on the OEs, shifted towards, you know, superchargers, top mount superchargers. I wonder, does it flow back into centrifugals? Like, does ProCharger start getting more love? Do we ever go back to nitrous? I love nitrous, so I'm kind of hoping so, but that seems less and less talked about. I see less and less of it. And then, like, I love turbos. I love turbo kits. I love everything about them, but they're expensive and they're hard, and there's a lot of cutting and welding and fabricating. So, like, where do turbos fit back in to the market mix, I think? That would be kind of my vibe on performance parts. And then I'm hearing a lot of people that have $100,000, $150,000 nice new cars. They don't want to modify those, but they're like, man, I have a 80s car that I've always loved. I have a 90s car that I've always loved, but now I drive it and man, it kind of sucks compared to the new car. So I think that restomod zone is going to be bigger and bigger in 26 and beyond. People taking, you know, E39 M5s or whatever the thing was you had back then and modernizing it a little bit and making it drive a little bit more like the regular car. What sucks now is the gap's so big. It's like a 400 horsepower car now versus a 800 wheel daily driver. It's finally the weekend and you get in your Fox and you're just like, oh, this is so slow comparatively. So I think more of that, which is great. I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's evolved really fast. I think from a manufacturing standpoint in the performance parts game, the time to market is decreased unbelievably, and you're going to see more of that in 26, stuff that just hits way faster. I also think it's so much more diversified. You know, there were manufacturers of small block Chevys and big block Chevys forever, but now it seems like LS blocks. You know, Les Rudd and I were kind of joking this morning. We're like, there were probably 12 manufacturers with an LS3 block on the floor at PRI this year. Some of that's just from the decentralization of Chevrolet performance not being there, not being present, not having inventory, right? There's market share there to gobble up. And I think you've got an aftermarket that's, if they see an opening, man, they're gonna jump on it and they'll take those millions of dollars in performance parts. So that's where I'm at. Yep.
One last thing here. I'm hearing more and more rumors that the diesel market is about to get wild. Yeah. I'm hearing from big players, OEs, there's a lot of people love the diesel game. It got hit the hardest during this EPA, you know, debacle that we went through, but now it seems like it's going to take off. So if you're a deleted diesel guy, your day might be coming back around, and seeing those things make big power again would be super cool. So I'll put a prediction, 2026, hot year for diesels, which would be really cool. Next one on the list, events. Okay, this is a big one for me. Where do you want to start?
I'll make it real. My prediction is I go to more off-road events. I just get constant reminders that the off-road stuff is so hot and the events are so fun. Different vibe when we went to Z Performance here in Holly. And I know Tom Z is a loyal listener and we love that guy and the events that they put on. And I think I would advise people, I'm talking business people, go to a different type of event in your neighborhood. You might not build off-road trucks, but just go try it because you might see something there that you can take back to other events. I mean, big events, obviously I'm thinking about HPX and where we're going with that thing in Charlotte in June. But I think you've got a show for every type of segment that you want to find, and they're great. There's something great for whatever car, truck, boat, whatever you're into. Find them and invest if it's a plane ticket even, go try an event in 26. So I think it'll be bigger, better shows. You and I've talked about this trend. If you're a business, someone that goes to a show is your customer. By definition, they spent money, effort, time, brought their family. They're into whatever that show is about. And you got to take advantage of that, especially with how diluted the attention is in this world right now. So I think events are, my prediction is more important to a marketer, more important to a brand, and way bigger to the bottom line than they have been maybe in a couple decades in 26.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. I think it's interesting that, we hear a lot, like, it's hard for me to get attention on Instagram, the algorithm, no one's seeing my stuff, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, just go to events, man, because you can crush it in an event. You bring the right display to an event, the right energy to an event, you can be the talk of the event pretty quickly. I had an interesting one the other day. I was lucky enough to attend a meeting with the incoming mayor of Pontiac, Mike McGinnis. And it was for businesses in Pontiac that wanted to learn kind of what they're doing. And on the agenda was Roadkill Nights, Woodward Dream Cruise, and I didn't know this, it's the 100-year anniversary of Pontiac Motors, Pontiac Car Company, and there's going to be a big celebration in downtown Pontiac later this year to celebrate the 100 years of Pontiac. So we have the Pontiac Museum down here, which is really cool, but I was like, man, I didn't even know that was going on. So it's cool that events like that are popping up and you don't really even think about it, but 100 years of Pontiac. We've already talked about Power Tour is going to be huge this year. I mean, really, you can go to HPX and then go straight onto Power Tour and have a great start to June, which is going to be badass. I do have one complaint on events from this year. I saw a lot of Facebook posts that said, set up at PRI, stop by booth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to see what we have, period. Well, I'm on the internet. I would like to know what you have, and I can't visit this booth. I've been on this forever, but if you're going to an event, do not tell me where I need to go to find out about what you've got going on. Tell me what you've got going on in a way that I can consume it at home. I think a lot of people make this mistake at events. So yeah, I think events are going to be huge. I think Dream Cruise is going to be insane. Roadkill Nights is going to be insane. HPX is going to be insane. 100 Years of Pontiac. It's going to be some weird cars down here for sure. That's a lot of Pontiac. And then everything else, all the F1, IHRA, and I agree with you in the off-road space. King of the Hammers is a huge one. Obviously Baja 1000 is a big one, but King of the Hammers is one that everyone has to see at least one time in their life. It's like nothing else and super impressive. The first time I went there, it reminded me of the first time I went to PRI. You kind of realize oh, people keep talking about this and people keep saying there's a lot of these. And now that I'm looking and it looks like a literal city and it's just built out of UTVs and off-road trucks, this is a big market. So yeah, the off-road space for sure, big again in 26.
Oh, I love it. I think it's great. Make sure, because as soon as the nephews hear this episode, they're going to want the 100 Years of Pontiac t-shirts. So just put me down for 3. I don't know what size they are, mediums, maybe larges. But that's awesome. Good for Pontiac. All right, next prediction for 2026 is people movers, people that are going to be making news in 26. I'm gonna go against all the experts. I'm gonna say Mary Barra is gonna be amazing as a CEO for GM for the whole year. That's my bold prediction because people have been talking about her demise for a decade. She's done great. I mean, navigating EV was tough. I don't think anybody got that right. So, in the automotive aftermarket landscape, I got nothing. Go ahead. You take it. Go ahead.
I don't know. There's definitely people that are top of mind these days that I think will continue to be top of mind. I'm interested in who can make new little niches, especially in the YouTube space or influencer space. I think as far as the OEs go, I mean, Ford's fixing what they've done, so I don't see any changes there. Mary's going to do the same thing for GM, which is pretty steady. Kuniskis is back in over there. Amr over at Jeep. Like, I think everything's going well for all three of the OEs here. I think, yeah, I don't have a huge vibe on anyone coming up or leaving the space or doing anything. We're going to hear more about Daryl from IHRA. Yeah, no doubt about that. Maybe we'll see some AI personalities come on board here sooner rather than later. But yeah, I don't think big shakeups for 26. I wouldn't expect. And then we have everyone's favorite topic, private equity. Will PE make any big moves in 26? Well, the Brian Tooley Racing was a huge move to end 25. I don't know a lot about that deal. I think you have a little more insight than me. But shout out to Brian Tooley for bringing all his employees along for the sale. I mean, I think he did an amazing job with that. Most people would take the money and bounce. Sounds like he made it an employee-owned thing and stood by all of his employees during the transaction. So what other PE moves do you see?
Yeah, I'll tell you, one of the challenges you have with any private equity deal is there's a large segment of the entire automotive industry that just has their eye on private equity, and I'm going to say it's quite negative. And there are some great companies that are run by private equity, and then we've seen some companies that have been, cast aside and taken advantage of, or really vilified by some of the anti-private equity people that are online. I think, congratulations to Brian Tooley. That was the talk of PRI. Did a great job with that. I like how he did it. Always been a class act and continues, onward. So bold predictions for private equity in 26. They're going to continue. There'll be a few acquisitions. I think there's going to be some brands that become available from private equity. So if there's folks that are individual owners, I wouldn't be afraid to approach some of these larger groups and ask about the availability of some brands, because they're going to need capital in 26 to keep moving on. And I think that might be a good trend to see some individuals buy some stuff back from private equity. I don't think we've seen that, at least real at the front page level. So yeah, I mean, it's something to watch. And if you're in this space, understand what private equity is. I'm still learning, so I'm no expert. We've said it. We probably should say we have asked a bunch of people that know private equity and done hundreds of millions of dollars with private equity groups. I've gotten very polite responses with, I would really like to explain it, but I'm working on a deal, so give me like 6 months and I'll come on your podcast. So I've said that would be amazing. I've had 3 or 4 people say that to us. So know that we're trying to watch this and trying to bring you the best intel we can. And I largely mean this for people that are aging out and they're individual owners. And we do have people that listen to the show that are kind of tuned into what's going on. And if we can help them with a little bit of a guide, and maybe they're experts and they want to come on. But yeah, private equity is going to be a thing in 26, and whatever the prediction is, leave it in the comments because I'd like to read it. So. What about your personal predictions? What do you got any bold predictions for yourself in 26?
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting year for our business, Driveline Studios. I did say at the front of this that, one of the things I think it might be the end of launch photography for the OEs, and that's a business that we've been in for a long time. But earlier, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, the U.S. Patent Office posted the new patent drawings for the 2027 Silverado. So I guess GM has to submit patent drawings so that no one steals the design. The U.S. Patent Office posts them regularly. This is where a lot of leaks come from. And in the past, it was like, okay, that's a crude engineering type drawing in black and white. We would have to figure out how to render that or whatever. Within 10 minutes, people had gone to Gemini, said, take this patent drawing, put this paint on it, and make it look like a launch photo from the truck. And they are indistinguishable from the current model year photos that are online, like absolutely indistinguishable. And I was like, wow, that's unbelievable. I tested it myself. same exact results. Like, I mean, spot on. And if that's what we're doing, a consumer level using patent drawings that are uploaded in low resolution, imagine what you could do with real data and real CAD files, math data. So I don't know. I don't see any reason anymore to be in the studio or on location with these new vehicles. What I always used to say is like, well, but the data doesn't exist yet. We have to take it so that the AI can learn from it. It's like, well, no, now the AI can just take the drawing and apply it. So that's going to be rough for a lot of people. I know a lot of people who have made a living specializing in launch photography for the OEMs. And now that AI, commercially available AI is doing that pretty easily. Also, it sucks for the OEs because now when they reveal the truck, it's going to be like, yeah, I already saw that. It's old news, right? Yeah. So that's a shakeup for sure. And then we saw Ram/Fox Factory do a lot of AI work on the reveal, the first 2 trucks of their 12 for 12 videos, using Gemini and Sora and a combination of things. So that's going to be a change for a lot of people. I still think the event side is a growing good place to be because people want to see it in person at events, experiential stuff like that. But yeah, that's a big change for us personally, and then as an industry, and then the PR teams, the launch teams, like they got to start thinking about this stuff, because if I can take a patent rendering and turn it into your launch photography, as you know, there are huge agencies here in Detroit that don't need to exist. Don't need them. Right. So that's a big one for 26. We knew this was coming. Obviously, everyone's been talking about it forever. We've been talking about it a lot. But this specific use case of the Silverado is definitely a turning point and a sign for how much better, how quickly it's going to advance in the space.
That's surprising because I'm thinking back to our conversations about where AI was going way before this podcast, right? And I think it was probably 2 years ago, on a Side Hustle Wednesday, and you were playing around with it and showing how to expand the backgrounds and things like that. And I want to argue this, and I want to tell you you're wrong, because I can tell you're really down on it, but I don't know. I think, yeah, it's a picture, or yeah, it's a video, but no, but they didn't sit in the Silverado, and the real customer is going to want to experience it. But shit, people buy vehicles online every day, so that's not true. They just want the dealer to park it in the driveway, and that's good enough, right? And if it's not right, they'll get another one. So I don't know. I'm kind of bummed because we talk about AI taking away jobs, but I think what's the upside of that? Your agency has to now render these things with AI and be the first ones out, and you're going to get a 10% of what you used to make when you had to do the big production.
Yeah, I mean, the downside is the production. The upside is, if I were a brand, the upside is, okay, well, sick. Now I don't have to, with a limited budget and limited time, pick 2 customer demographics, right? Every truck photo is what? We have to rent a ranch in Texas and get the fence line and get the Texas-looking sunset thing. And then we have to drive it over a bridge somewhere in California, and then we have to get a city shot, and those are the 3 demos that we can hit, and then we're done now. With AI now, though, you could make thousands of demographics for thousands of potential buyers and create content at scale for all of those demos. You could do grungy streetwear demo, you could do high-end luxe demo, right? There's a million things you could do now that they just didn't have the budget to do before, and the retouching costs were too high and it was too complicated. So like, as a marketer, I'm like, man, this is cool. There's a lot of cool ways to test things, to iterate things, to look at different locations, to do different things. Because one of my gripes the past several years has been like, basically there's like 25 launch photos of any vehicle, and then that's it. Those 25 are still online. They're still the only ones you ever get. Now, as a brand, you could do way more and put them in way different locations and do a lot of fun stuff with that. So that's cool. It just sucks that the photographers especially aren't going to be out there. And a photographer with a great eye can change perceptions of a vehicle. And now you're going to be relying on the AI to just render whatever it wants, and then kind of you're stuck with that. Now a blend there of AI backgrounds with photo, that'll probably exist for quite a while. And then AI backgrounds, but renders, that's already happening. So I think the marketer in me is like, this is super cool. There's a ton of upside here. The photographer in me is like, what a bummer, but we kind of saw this coming, I think. But then you're right. Then it's like, okay, well, if everyone can do that at scale, what is next? And what's next is like driving impressions, driving videos. How does it sound? How does it feel? How does it look, right? So there's a lot of stuff still to be seen there. And maybe, this is hopeful thinking, maybe the budgets that they were spending on the photo shoots, they can now spend on other things. And those budgets don't just disappear completely and turn into Gemini subscriptions. So it'd be cool. But yeah, that's my 26 look at that. I think that'll be one of the biggest shakeups, at least in the creative space for sure.
Good. Well, good luck. You'll figure it out. You always do. And there are better ways to experience the product than looking at a picture. So you guys will get there. Let's transition to helping folks be prepared for 2026. So those were our bold predictions. So now what do you get ready for this? How do you get ready? How do you get your company ready? How do you get set? And, you're going to have a couple weeks off. I think we all go through this, right? We have a little downtime. We binge watch your favorite shows, and you're going to have those moments where you get to pull out your notebook and kind of, okay, what are my goals for 26? So I thought we'd just run through some things that we do or things we're thinking about. First thing I put down is just people health. One of the most highly searched words in 2025 on Google was the word fatigue. So as a society, I think we're all feeling this, right? There's just a lot of stuff going on. Still, to your point, I think we're finishing the year really strong as an industry, which is good. But, take a moment to think about your physical health and your mental health and, New Year's resolutions to work out a little bit, maybe give it a try. You got back to the gym this year, so maybe I should be talking to you about that. But what are you going to do to be more healthy in 26?
Well, fatigue's real. We've been talking about that. It seems like there's no end in sight. We're deep into December already. It's the 17th. Normally, in our world, it was SEMA, nothing, PRI for a week, nothing. That was kind of the Detroit lay of the land for decades. And now people are working straight through. I'm hearing like, yeah, we're taking Christmas Day off and then we're back at it. So it's been a long 5 years. Since COVID, everyone's been on basically. And it does feel like, man, when can we find some room to pause here? We're already looking at our calendar, like we're booked through August. There's events. Oh, it's January. Like SHOT Show's coming up. Now we got this, we got that, we got this, like all of a sudden. So yeah, finding time for your team to like recharge, finding time to think about outside of the box ideas for your business is hard. I think we're hearing that a lot with the pod. Like, man, I get to spend an hour thinking about things other than I got to send this invoice, this thing's late, that package was damaged, like really in the weed stuff. So I think fatigue is going to be more and more of a thing in 26. And I think protecting against it is going to be really important. Hopefully people can figure out ways to do that.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't think about this, but I'm listening to an Andrew Carnegie podcast, and one of the things he admitted to when he got his first executive position is he did exhaust the team that worked for him. Now, they were talking railroads and kind of physical labor, but the same holds true even for marketing teams. You can fatigue people and they are going to lose their edge and the work will suffer. And I think everybody, as you're listening to this, you're probably nodding your head like, yeah, bro, like I'm doing the job where 8 people used to do these jobs. Like I've taken over an entire division, haven't been promoted. Like I hear this from a lot of folks. So, take a deep breath, don't answer the phone after 8 o'clock at night or whatever you got to do to make a change in 26, but we wish you the best.
Well, and here's the huge bummer about stagflation or inflation or whatever's going on is you used to be able to solve this problem, at least in the workforce, with like bonuses or 10 grand or, a little bit of a raise here. But whatever money you can scrounge up in your company that has rising costs and lower income, it doesn't go as far as it used to. So I think you got to find better and better ways to keep people engaged, cooler and cooler things to do as a team, because the money, it can only go so far. You can't really spend your way out of this problem, I don't think. So the fatigue thing is going to have to be a culture thing, which is, it takes time to get right.
Transitioning out of that, when you get back to minding the shop, there's two basic rules that you and I teach, which is you've got to know your product and you got to know your customer, and then figure out how to put the two together. So if you just want to get back to basics, think about what your product is. And I've been thinking a lot about what does your product do for people, or how does your product make people feel? Again, I had a great conversation with Les Rudd this morning, and he's the guy that, and I say this all the time, I know you do, Justin, but you got to remember, like if you're selling minivans or SUVs, that's something probably people need, or pickup trucks to go to work. But largely, if you're talking to automotive aftermarket space, nobody needs any of this stuff. Nobody needs any of the racing that goes on. Racing could go away tomorrow. Largely, they would just go to stick and ball sports, and in a few months, nobody would care. But how does it make people feel? And when you're building a race engine, or you're making the next big turbocharger kit, you make people feel like winners. You make them heroes in their story. So really focus up on what your product does for people. And then the customers, Justin, there's just a tragic amount of people, we joked about it as we opened this up, right, that just didn't know their customers on electric vehicles. They just didn't know their customers. So really rethink, who's my customer for this thing? And then the business case comes in. How many really are there? At what price point are they going to want my service or product? So just, you probably know that. You're probably pissed off listening to me even saying that. You're insulted by it. But I'll bet if you got it all figured out, there's somebody on your team that doesn't realize that this is your product, this is what it makes people feel like, and these are the customers you're going after. Do better in 2026 on those fundamentals.
Yeah, I would argue that a lot of people don't know their product very well, or their product catalog has scope creep to the point where they've lost the edges of it. Earlier this year, we had a client, we were like, okay, well, we need new photos for the website. We went to their place, we put everything on the floor, and their first comment was, half the people here don't even know we sell 80% of this stuff. Like, we've just had it. It's just been a thing. But man, our new sales guy, we haven't trained them on half of this. So I think over the years, shops especially have added things and done things, and then they just think it's a normal part of, everyone knows that we have this, We had another client just recently, within the last month. They have 4 kind of verticals that they play in. All of them were together, and the comment between them was, oh, I didn't know that you guys did that over there, and I didn't know that you did that. And like, what an opportunity just to learn that. So like, I think on the product side, it's not unreasonable to say, hey team, we're gonna just sit down in the shop on January 5th, and we're just gonna go through what we sell and what we make and what we do here. And you might find that someone's like, didn't we used to do Mustang stuff? And it's like, well, yeah, we still have a bunch of that. Oh, you haven't seen it in a while, or you're new here and you don't know about it. So yeah, the product side is huge. And then the other part of that, which I'm bad at, but you're more business minded than me, is like, what products are making you money and what products are you carrying, maybe selling, didn't realize the cost had gone up, didn't realize your margin is 0 or negative, tariffs, and maybe you shouldn't be selling these things anymore. Maybe these are distractions. So yeah, on the product side, I think just really define it. And then on the customer side, the game has changed. Like, what people used to do to a C5 Corvette is not what they do to a C8 Corvette. And we may know that, but is everyone aware of that in your organization? Do you have a new plan going forward? What are the customers doing? Are they getting older? Are they getting younger, right? I think there's a huge, who are they? What are they doing? Look at that again. And this is a great place to use AI in your workflow. You can literally type in, I think my customer is this, and then flow that into, tell me more about them. what would this demographic look like? Do I agree with that? Do I not agree with that? Hold on. Right. Where does this guy hang out? There's a lot there. So I would encourage people to use AI on the customer demo side. It's great for that.
I like that. I'm even writing it down. Thinking about general budgeting, I think at this point in the year, probably your 26 budget's set. You and I kind of think about marketing and sales first. I'd love to give you a forecast on where marketing is going to go in 26. I don't think it's going to go up. I don't think the marketing budgets go up in 26. I think people are still tightening up the tariff cost on the product side. They've got to pull the lever to save money somewhere. So they're going to be looking for really efficient ways to market their product in that right group of people, right? Find the Instagram channel or the YouTube channel, like wherever the highest population of your customers hang out, not the biggest number, right? Listen real clearly when you and I talk about that. Find where they live. I think you and I have been asked specifically, because we've gone through this many times, how to build a content factory. How would you go about it? What are the minimums you need? Kind of step it up a little bit. So maybe we come back in January and we hit them with a podcast. I'll give you like a company size and a scenario, and you maybe on camera build out, what you would do from a content standpoint. But good content is going to be king. We know the algorithms have shifted. If you put out great stuff, it's not the size of your channel, it's the value of your content. So the world is yours as a marketer in 2026. You can go from a little guy to the king of the industry if you got the right storytelling skills.
We're an hour into this, so I'm going to give you a thing that I wasn't going to say on the pod, but anyone who made it this far can get it. I think for 26 and beyond, the thought should be less marketing, and more attention. And where is attention? And how can I create attention? I think a lot of people are just like, all right, we got to market, we got to do it all year, we need social media posts, we need to talk about XYZ. How do I do that? I'm going to get a video kid and he's going to whatever. I think shifting your mindset from marketing to attention is the move. And if you have a fixed spend, maybe move the attention spend into periods of time where there aren't a lot of people doing it. Like, people in this industry spend marketing money in November, December, just the end of the year, and then they kind of don't spend it for a while, and then in the middle of the year, they're spending it on events, right? I think I would like to see people move into those dead spots because it's easy to get attention when there's not a bunch of people trying to get attention. So like, plug for HPX here, but you got a big thing in June. There's not a lot of people spending a ton of money marketing in June. Maybe spend it the months leading up to that and then have something big there. But yeah, I think if your spend's going to stay the same, which it is, how can you move it around in different ways instead of just doing the traditional hold it all till the end, spend it, and then kind of go dead again? So yeah, that's where my marketing spend. And then your next one here is start social media now. That's the same point, right? Like, let's just start going.
Yeah, I think everybody has started it, but I think it's take a real look at it. Is it effective, right? Like, and it isn't always the numbers. It's the engagement. Everybody I think knows this, but maybe not. But are people talking about what you're putting up, or is it just you, me, and the marketing lady that are liking the posts? Like, you've got to find a way to put content, and if it's not working, keep trying things. Right? I think you know this because we worked together so closely for years. But I don't care what you try as a marketer or to get attention. If you believe in it, go for it. Here's the one thing I always demand: make sure you keep score and make sure you've got records and you can come back. And we joke about this, but when we started, there was nobody doing this. You came on, you did the social channels at Chevrolet Performance. We would make mistakes, but we would always have red Chevelles with big blocks in stock that we could go to, and everybody would swing back and forget about whatever we did on a Sonic or something they didn't like as much. So know your audience and get in there and get going. I'm going to go to the next one, which is new product development. More and more, if you put out new product, your brand gets attention. Yes, I want you to get sales for your new product. It's got to be cool. It's got to hit the market. It's got to be launched. You got to get attention. But the real hidden value is your brand stays relevant. John Urus just did this. John Urus just launched the twin turbo Raptor R kit, and he's doing a great job promoting it. Hot Rod got on board. Brad Berry and his dad are putting it on a Raptor R. There's a series of YouTube videos. So he's doing all the right things. You know what he sold out of? The base F-150 kits. This is exact. I saw it with LS1 or LS7's launch, ZZ4's sellout. I'm telling you, do new product in 26.
Yeah, I think this got lost on a lot of the shops and businesses that listen specifically to this pod. I think when the magazines were hot and when they were hot, they were launching a lot of new stuff. They were breaking records. They were doing all these things. And then at some point it was like, man, this is expensive and hard. And if I'm the first in the 9s, then I got to be the first in the 8s and blah, blah. But they were seeing huge growth. And then I think wisely, people started pulling back. Okay, maybe I don't need to be the first. Maybe I don't need to be launching all the time. But I think again, the pendulum, I think we've over-indexed on that. And a lot of these shops that were always the first to do all of these things have been sitting around. And now I'm seeing new players in the space be the first and grabbing that attention. So yeah, make twin turbo kits for nonsense. Make cool things to just launch them, because people want to talk about that kind of stuff and they want to share it. And if I know that a new car is coming out, I want to know what new performance parts are coming out. If you're first to market, or you're the most outrageous or the most egregious or the fastest, that's the type of stuff people are going to share. I think maybe people are too nuanced and they're trying to be like, oh, here's a 30-minute video about all the specs. It's like, I want that when I'm down the funnel. But to start, I just want big, cool news. Twin turbo Raptor R, sick. I don't even think it went to any events. I think it lives entirely on the internet right now. Yeah. But good enough, everyone knows about it. Everyone listening to this has seen the clips. So probably doesn't even run. I think it's still on the thing, but it's like, it will, but it doesn't matter because he's sold out of the base kit. So yes, new product development, huge. Stay on that edge, because that's where people create news.
Yeah, I mean, we jump to performance parts, but it goes for the OEMs. We're in Detroit. Like, why do you do performance cars? Why do you do special edition trucks? It's the attention. That high-end Ram sells a whole bunch of base Rams. That Raptor sells F-150. This is not new, but use it, grab it, like take that and steal it, make it your own in 2026. It works. And we got similar, try something new in 2026. That's our last one for how to have a successful 26. I think we've talked about this before. Maybe we're leading into it, but get out of the routine for your company. Find something, put some budget to it, a modest amount, 10%, 20%, like whatever, and try a new product line, go to a new event, test the market, and you might be surprised how well it works. You got any examples that come to mind of trying new stuff that we've done in the past?
I mean, the biggest one for me is just meeting new people. We've talked about this a lot. You go to an event, you talk to the same booths, you say hello to the same people, and it's like, just meet new people. I feel this way when I go to shows now. I'm like, oh, there's a whole group of creators that are younger than me that I don't really know. And I used to be them, and now I'm not. And instead of just being like, whatever, it's like, well, meet them, learn about them, see what's going on down there. So I would encourage everybody, if you're going to try new things in 26, meet new people.
Wonderful idea.
Oh, we used to go to that car show 15 years ago. It's kind of lame. Well, there's new people at that car show now, and go meet them. And they don't know your brand yet, and they don't know what you're capable of. So yeah, I think get back out there, try something new there, try something new on your website, add some pieces of texting technology, email, whatever. Just try to connect with people in a different way. And then I think we talked about this earlier, but just go to a different event. Just go somewhere you've never been before. Go to King of the Hammers, go to IHRA, go to a Formula One race, and just see, whoa, I didn't know that. I've never seen that display. I've never seen someone do it that way before. And then bring that back and use it, in your thing. So yeah, I would definitely try new things in 26. and you don't have to go all in on them. Just try them, see how it works.
I got one more thought on that. I'm thinking about the Nikki Fowler interview that he spent with us here. I saw Nikki at PRI, just an awesome guy, pillar of the industry. But remember what Nikki said, he hire young, right? Dad recommended hire young. So maybe it's hire somebody new, hire somebody that's in a different segment or an expert. Probably hiring young is a real good idea to get something new and fresh going for your company.
Hire young, and then listen to them.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Because everyone does this. Everyone hires young and then says, oh, we don't do it that way. That way won't work, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, try it. Let them do that. I think I heard that at HPX. I think someone was on stage and they said, we talk about hiring young, but then we never trust them to do these things. So yeah, hire young and then give them some room to try some things, because fun fact, when you were trying things, you were young and you had room to do it, right? So I think that's important for sure.
I think that as a leader, as a coach, that's something that I try to bring to the table, is to be very open-minded right now, because it's where to find the attention. It's critical to try things. Good. We're probably running out of time here, running over. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We always try to talk about artificial intelligence. I want to close with some artificial intelligence news, AI news. Again, met a new guy at PRI, family, grandfather, father, young man in his early 20s. He has built an app. He was pitching his app. His app uses AI to combine weather as well as previous data. And it tells you what the starting line conditions are at a drag strip, what kind of traction is available to you as a drag racer. I'm sure it can also work for asphalt, for circle track and road race guys. But I like that because it wasn't just creative. It was an actual engineering application for AI that I hadn't heard of. It made total sense to me. So on our theme here for what does 2026 look like, get ready for some crazy AI stuff. Like, no matter what you do, prepare yourself for AI to have some impact on it. And you might say, man, I grind camshafts. There ain't no way AI is going to grind camshafts. Yeah, but it'll design your camshaft better than you ever imagined, or maybe like the best camshaft designer in the world. So just be open-minded to AI as we charge into 2026. And I think you and I have made the promise. We're going to keep, whenever we find little bits like this, we're going to bring it in here. So anything that we got from your side on AI, hit me.
I just had a flashback to my days at the Buick Nationals, what were those, GS Nationals or whatever that thing's called, in Bowling Green. And you would go in a guy's trailer and he would just have a box of chips, and then he would have books of time slips, right? And he was machine learning the same thing that an AI can do instantaneously. Like, hold on. In 1987, when I ran my bet 12-1, this was the temperature. Okay, here's the chip. Let me put it in here. So like a tool that could do that for me, I could put in every single thing, every run I've ever made at the drag strip, all my tire pressures, and then all of the weather, where the moon was. I mean, it could pull in a lot of data, right? And that's a cool application for bracket racers. That's a cool application for drag racers. Traditionally, you just done that in your head, but man, having a tool to verify it would be super cool. So I think that's cool. I would say, and I'm guilty of this, when AI first started becoming a thing that we were talking about a lot, there weren't that many players in the space. And now I feel like people have chosen one. So they're like, oh, I use OpenAI. That's my AI tool. I don't use Gemini. I don't use Claude. I don't use X. I don't whatever. It's like I've been forcing myself to like go try the other ones because they're advancing. They're in a war right now and they're advancing quickly. And like I was a Midjourney guy for image editing for a long time. Midjourney was great. Gemini Nano Banana Pro is so much better than Midjourney right now. And if I stayed with what I was comfortable on, I would never go over to Nano Banana Pro. And then Midjourney is going to fight back. And then OpenAI just dropped their new one yesterday. So like, I would say it sucks because it's hard and you got to sign up for a lot of things and you got to try different things and learn how they work. But right now is this the most fun it's going to be because everyone's popping off. Google was not late to the AI game, but they're definitely not OpenAI as far as how popular they are, but I read something yesterday that Google has 2.4 times more data than OpenAI because of how Google has searched the internet. So Google is winning not on model, but on data set. So if you're only over here, you wouldn't know that about them. So yeah, I would say for AI Watch, try a new tool, pick a new one. If you hear about something, sign up for it, give it a shot, because these things are moving super fast and every day there's new models dropping.
That's awesome. Not AI, but you reminded me, Savannah Banana owner was on My First Millionaire, or My First Million, rather, podcast within the last week. So I know you and I are both big fans of those two brands. You're going to want to listen to that. If you're an event person, if you're a customer-driven person, which, my God, if you listen to us, you better be focused on your customer. Catch that podcast. Maybe we can put a link somehow, but I'll send it to you. I listened to it on my long drive back from Indianapolis Saturday. So good stuff.
I like it. Yeah, those are two of our favorite people and pods. So that'll be cool. And then we have strong close. So I think we talked about this at the top, but comment. We read every comment and we try to implement it into the next episode and the episode after that. If you want to hear from guests, if you're like, dude, stop talking about private equity, talk about this instead, whatever. The only way we're going to know that is by you commenting or texting. So it's not a straight engagement play. I mean, the comments do help for engagement, but we want the comments because it actually informs what we're doing here. So I would say, please let us know how you feel about it, what we're doing well, what could use improvement, how you like the lighting, maybe. Seems like a topic of debate around here. And yeah, other than that, we got one more pod maybe in 25, sounds like. And then we're on to 26.
One more thing to do. We got to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And thanks for hanging out with us. And 26 is going to be great.
That's the pod.